Drafting the Magic features the thoughts and opinions expressed by Christian Ilton, Erik Pesolano, and today's guest, and do not in any way reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or any of its subsidiaries.
Erik, do you hear that through our headphones? Do you hear it? Da 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 California, here we come. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. It's been so long since we've done a Disneyland themed Drafting the Magic episode, Erik. We're back.
That was all improv, folks. That was not scripted. He
Nope.
came up with that on his own.
I did, and Erik's gonna
Yeah,
yell
good
at
job.
me after we're done recording. Anyway, regardless, Erik, we're back at the Disneyland Resort, and we are talking about a really cool, specific thing that
Yes.
our guest judge actually was like, oh, well, like, because we always ask people, what are you more of a foods person or more of a, attractions, whatever it might be. And our guest judge, who we'll introduce you to in just a little bit, came up with this one, and you were like, oh my gosh, can we please do that?
Yeah, you weren't a fan of it, but I was. But
Well,
we're gonna do it anyway. Best seats in the house, man. Specific seats on attractions at the Disneyland Resort. I think this is a very, very awesome topic because now, again, big disclaimer here. Don't bother the cast members. Please just do what they tell you to do. If you happen to get in the seats we're going to mention, that's great. Just don't ask. Just go about your day.
Or you can ask. You can ask, but
You can ask.
if they say no, move on.
And they're probably not going to say no because they're cast members.
Unless they're me. Anyway.
Unless they're you. Yeah, which you can say that now.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can
No,
because I don't
no,
work there anymore.
no NDA anymore for this guy.
Nope.
But I know I think it's a really fun topic and see what everybody else will think once we get this thing out there.
Yes, before we get it out there though, make sure that you go like, subscribe, follow on all of the different things. You got Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook. You can need to go to YouTube, youtube.com/@draftingthemagic. I don't know why the at's there. I'm trying to figure it out, but give me some time, folks. Regardless, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell so you can always watch our episodes. If you're only listening to our episodes, you're completely missing out on all the kooky things that I'm doing with my arms right now. You don't even know what I'm doing.
And my shirt.
And Erik's shirt, my shirt. I'm wearing a Marvel shirt, but I'm not going to tell you what character it is. Because you need to come and watch our show. Then you'll know. Regardless, come and make sure that you are subscribed. Go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, like, subscribe there, and whatever the things are, follow. Who cares? And leave us an Apple Podcast review. Those are always cool. 5 stars or nothing. Somebody did 4 stars. What are you, nuts? Are you nuts?
Did they?
Come on. No, I'm thinking of something else, actually. But
I was like, no, they didn't.
No, it's only 5 stars for Drafting the Magic. Come on.
It doesn't let you select anything else. We made sure of that.
I almost gave a hint on what character I'm wearing just now because of the shirt I'm wearing, but I'm not going to. Because I'm not going to.
Everybody watching this is like, what are you talking about?
Everybody's like, can you just shut up?
He's talking to the audio only audience, folks. It's okay.
The audio only audience, which is missing out on the amazingness of the visual medium of Drafting the Magic. Okay, we've gone on long enough. It's time to get to the best seats in the house at the Disneyland Resort, and we're going to do it with a guest judge who had an amazing idea. Well, Erik, today we've got a pretty cool and exciting guest judge. It's Ashley Dixon joining us all the way from the great state of Utah. Ashley, how are you?
Hey, I am so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're glad to have you. Before we jump in, why don't you tell all the people at home where they can find you, how you got into Disney in the first place, especially because you're all the way out in Utah.
Oh, no, Utahns love Disney. It's a huge thing here. The Disney community in Utah is thriving. So Ashley Dixon, I actually was born in Southern California, about 45 minutes away from Disneyland. So the first, 6 years of my life, I grew up at Disneyland in the parks all the time. And when I was about 6, my parents whisked me away to Utah. And I only went to Disneyland maybe twice from age 6 to age, adulthood. And I was so heartbroken about it. And I just always said, when I am an adult and can make responsible decisions, isn't it funny how we use the word responsible? We throw it around like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I said, I am going to be the person who takes my family to Disney all the time. We are going to be Disney people. And I just have held true to that. In 2012, I was married. I had two little boys, an 11-month-old and a 3-month or a 3-year-old. And we went to Disney, and I thought it was going to be amazing. And it was the trip from the seventh layer of hell. It was horrifying. The whole 2 days, I mean, everything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong. I did everything wrong. I didn't know what I was doing. I fumbled my way through. I bossed everyone around. And we came home, and my husband looked at me and said, "We're never doing that again. If that's what Disney is, it was no, no." And I thought there's got to be a better way to do this. So from 2012 to 2016, I kind of dove into learning all of the tips and the tricks and the things that, the Disney vets know, and became kind of the go-to person for friends and family. Like, hey, we're going to Disneyland, help us plan. And I would. Started a Facebook group was where it all started for me in 2016, just as a hobby, as a place to share, random things about Disney. And it grew and grew and grew. And then when COVID hit and the world shut down and people became really nasty to each other and there was no place of joy, especially on social media, I really got into, let's create a community online of just a place where people can remember all of the joy from the past. So I was posting consistently every day in that Facebook group, everything I could gather specifically about Disneyland. And then just massive growth from 2021 when the parks reopened till now. So Facebook is like my main platform. I run this Facebook group. I run it with an iron fist. We have no drama. We have no negativity. And then I'm on Instagram. So it's Ashley Dixon Shenanigans, because shenanigans are sort of my thing. I'm all into like the quirky challenges, right? I love what we're doing today with this, because that's kind of my thing. Anything kind of out of the box is what I want to be a part of. And I do have a Patreon as well. Shout out to all of my Ashley Dixon Shenanigans Patreon fam. We call it the Shenana fam.
I love it.
So
Oh my
you can
gosh.
go find me on Patreon. Yeah.
That is a fantastic name. First off, doesn't matter how well versed you are in Disney trips, the yelling still happens. All right, the yelling and bossing around, that is Erik. That's Erik and my specialty, right, EP?
Yeah, I've gotten better with it over the past few years, but I love that story because it's kind of a microcosm of life, isn't it? Things went real bad the first trip, and you were like, no, I ain't letting that be the last memory I have of this place. Yeah. I'm going to figure out how to do it better and how to coordinate it a little bit. It's like you don't just give up on it. So no. I love that whole thing, and I'm the same way. I don't know that I've ever had a disaster Disney trip, but I'm certainly always looking at, like you said, the tips and tricks and everything to make it better the next time we venture out, especially for us when we go to Florida. Here, it's like, man, yeah. I know this place like the back of my hand. But Florida, which is a different beast in itself, that's the one I'm always looking into.
Yes. And then he doesn't go on any good attractions that we also have here, and he doesn't go to any shows, and he doesn't. Erik, you're the worst. Anyway,
not a show guy.
I know you're not, but it's fine.
Some of the shows at Walt Disney World are fantastic, though.
Yeah.
They're worth your time.
Ashley, he hasn't seen Festival of the Lion King.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
I know.
It's going to be a problem.
I know it is.
Oh, no.
Well, thank goodness
you being a Lakers fan and him not doing Festival of the Lion King, I don't know how well it's going to go.
How did we start -1 already, Christian? We haven't even gotten to our first.
I'm not -1. You're -1.
I think I'm a fan. You're a Laker fan. She just
I'm not really a Lake. I don't watch basketball. Anyway, sorry. Now there's a bunch of people that hate me. Anyway, good news for you though, Erik, is yes, this is not a shows episode. So we don't have to worry about that. But what today's episode is about attractions. But Erik, it's about attractions in a way we've never done before.
No, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, which is something that Ashley talked about. And actually, I'm going to give the shout out to her right here because this was her idea.
Mm-hmm.
And we picked her suggestion for a topic today. So thank you for that.
Really excited for this.
Can't wait to hire you as a consultant for
it. Is right episodes. This is right in my wheelhouse. I actually have I'm taking notes and I'm ready.
Yes.
Oh, this is great.
You came prepared.
So today we're talking about specific seats on attractions, or as I like to call it, the best seats in the house. This one's going to be interesting, Christian, because you got pull out of your memory bank where you've actually sat on an attraction, not just the ones you've ridden.
I mean, the good news for us is that you and I have been around that resort so much that
Yeah,
we've probably sat everywhere. Like,
probably. Yeah.
if you're gonna tell me what are the odds that I sat in Thunder Mountain row 6, left side of the bench, odds are I've sat there.
Yeah.
It's not, but like trying to hone in and specify, I'm like, I don't want to lie to the people. I don't know.
Right. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily call it a lie. It would just be misremembering. But
That's
if you, like you said, there's a pretty good chance we've sat in just
Mhm.
about 90% of these seats. So
Definitely.
I think we'll be okay.
Oh, well, let's get to it then. Ashley, this was your idea. What about these specific little quirks makes it like so much more fun for you?
Okay, so well, how do I say things without ruining
Oh,
what
Oh,
you
all right,
guys
all right. Then we won't.
say?
Then we
she
won't
under
jump into it. She
she
knows how
I don't
to.
want
understands
to.
the
I
game.
don't want to dive in and steal somebody else's
There we go.
argument.
She knows how to play the
But
game.
She
Then there we go.
understands the game.
Let's go. All right. Then we won't jump into that.
all right,
Let's
no,
just dive into the draft. This is Drafting the Magic, episode 43. We are talking about the best seats in the house, or at least on attractions at the Disneyland Resort. Erik Pesolano. This is a tough draw for me. I think you have, no, I have the first pick. Gasp. I'm thinking, yes, I have the first pick. Yes. Yes.
Now, what about rules? Did we talk about rules yet?
We
haven't
didn't
talked
talk about
yet.
rules. Also, I'm completely wrong. You have the first pick today. So,
Yeah, I was a
I'm
little
all over the
skeptical about
place.
that.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, you've got the first pick,
Yeah.
but the rules are A, that we have to have done it. B, that we have to choose 2 attractions from each theme park at least. So we can't just sit in Disneyland as we all love to do. We can't just sit in Disney California Adventure, as a bunch of you don't like to do for some reason, but it's an amazing park and you should give it more respect. And Erik, we can only do 2 roller coasters each. What?
Yeah, yeah, we can't just load up on roller coasters, which is always a hotly contested topic, right? Where do you sit on a roller coaster? Well, I got thoughts, but I
I
guess
know you have thoughts.
I'm only allowed to express 2 of them.
I know you have thoughts, but your thoughts suck. So we'll see. We'll see if Ashley thinks that as well. But okay, now let's jump in.
Coming in hot today. Wow.
Yes, coming in
All
hot,
right.
quite literally. Anyway,
All right.
Erik, let's jump into it. Drafting the Magic, like I said, episode 44. I am counting, right? 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yeah, this is episode 44. It's been a long season already, folks. And we are drafting the Magic today. EP, you are up.
I did not rank these like I normally do
Oh, good.
because I was telling Ashley before we started recording that I was up real late last night putting this list together of which ones I thought were specific. So my first overall draft pick has to do with the experience and making the most of your experience, that you need to sit here. Now, I want to start off with a little bit of a disclaimer here. We're making these selections. Christian, you know, we've had people tell us, wow, I've never heard of XYZ. I'm going to go do that in the parks. Please, everyone, for the love of all that is whatever, do not harass cast members to try to get to these particular locations.
Don't do it.
If please, if you get the spot, great. If you don't, get in line again and try one more time. Please do not ask the cast members to sit in a specific place. Christian and I have a lot of experience in this. We were both attractions cast members. Let them.
I said no a
let them
lot.
be.
I said no a lot.
Yeah, I know you didn't, but please let them be. Okay, this first one, for me, I think this is the most important seat to sit in at either theme park here in Southern California.
Big.
And Christian, I'm going to need your help with this because this is an attraction that you have worked on before. So I think you already know where I'm going with this.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not think you were going there.
I am taking, and the reason I'm taking it is because of how much of an experience booster it is to me. You need to sit. Is it row A or row C at, I couldn't remember, at Soarin', whether it's over California or around the world. You need to sit in the middle, in the top row.
B1.
Thank you.
Sorry, am I allowed to help?
No, absolutely, you're
Well,
allowed to help. But I have thoughts on this pick. So,
yeah, I can't remember. Look, you're gonna be there and you're not gonna have any legs hanging in your face, right? That's massive. The only thing above you is, the awning that shoots out the 4D effects. Aside from that, you don't really see much else except for the screen and the few people beside you, unless you're really looking like this to see the other people and how the mechanism works, like I do. I'm usually like this. Oh, look at that. Look at how that works. I'm taking Soren at number one. You got to sit there.
oh boy, I'm gonna let Ashley give her thoughts before I open up a can of you know what.
You go right on ahead, pal.
Ashley, go ahead.
My thoughts on this pick, I think this is a really solid first place to start.
Yes.
It's not where I thought you were going when you really were hyping it up about the very most important aspect of if you want the very best experience, you have to sit here. I thought you were going with something else, which I feel like since you didn't, Christian's probably going to take it. But this is a really good one. B1 gives you the least amount of distortion. If you're sitting C at the very, very far end, the Eiffel Tower is going to be like curving to the side. Everything's going to look all wonky. And it's just kind of strange. And then also the feet swinging. And then also it's a new trend that some people, okay, this is a whole different can of worms as well, take their flip-flops off and swing barefoot.
Yeah.
Now, not only do you have, fully clothed feet in front of you, you've also got the naked feet swinging, which maybe that would be a different platform that would be interested in that. We are not, but B1, you don't have the feet and you've got this right on perfect view. I think it's strong. I like it.
I'm dying. That was the funniest thing she could have said.
I don't know
Drafting the magic only something coming soon. Anyway,
you can censor anything you need to censor that comes out of my mouth. I don't know.
No, that was.
Oh no, that's staying in. That's staying in.
I cannot explain how fantastic that was. Okay, time to take you both to school. And Ashley, I know you're the guest judge. I'm not trying to make you mad at this point. The attraction was designed to be at B2. And the whole thing about that is if you are sitting in B1, the overhang comes down farther, so you see less of the screen because they don't want you looking up and seeing all the stuff that Eric's looking for. Also, the feet are not right in your face. They're like 15, 20 feet away. Like, it's not right. No, they're not. No,
when you're hang gliding, you don't see legs in front of you.
Oh my gosh, y'all are ridiculous. I'm just telling you, the Imagineer who did it, oh, I forgot his name, and I'm probably gonna get in a lot of trouble online for that. Get over it, get over it, get over it. He said the ride was designed to be seen from B2. And then Soaring Around the World happened, and the ride was designed to be seen from as you pass by it because you're not going on the ride anymore.
Hey, Imagineers have been known to be wrong.
Wow.
He's wrong. It is made for B1. Wow. It is not made for B2.
No, it's not. No.
Legs in your face.
Nope. That's part of the experience. Part of the experience. All right, whatever. Okay. Well, I've made Ashley mad because I've said that that's incorrect. I've made Erik mad because I've said that's incorrect. And I've probably made all of you mad because
I can't wait to see what you're going to do right now. I am champing at the bit to get to this.
So I am going to Disneyland. I am not staying in Disney California Adventure. And this is actually, I've come to appreciate this a little bit more since we started doing this show. Because our guest judge who talked about this specific thing was dead on about it. So I am going to go to a ride that I don't love, but everyone else seems to think it's the greatest thing that Disney's ever created. Give me Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Give me the front row. I believe it's blue. I don't remember whatever the front row is where you end up seeing I know it's not an at Star Wars people, calm down, but for all of us that are just Star Wars kind of people, it's basically an AT-AT. But when it points at you, there is such a difference between that pointing at you and then just turning around and there being fire. But as Mark Bricky said when he was on our show, you can touch the droid. When you stand up, you're allowed to touch the droid. They don't tell you not to. That is the coolest thing. You actually get to put hands on an animatronic. You get to sit right behind that animatronic. Honestly, the back row is not terrible. It's not the worst. And if you get the back row, you're still going to have a great time on that attraction. But whichever color, I don't remember the color. is the one that puts you in front of that giant unit that points the guns at you. That is the best row you can sit in. Best seat would be right in the middle on one of those two middle ones, not the side corners. You're the forgotten few if you're on the edge, but if you're in the middle, that's number one. Ashley, what do you think of this pick of Star Wars Rise of the Resistance?
So I'm with you on front row. I do think that the front row gives you kind of the unobstructed view. You don't have heads bobbing in front of you.
Better than feet. Better than feet.
Better than feet. I'd rather take heads than over feet. But I do think Rise of the Resistance as a whole is such, and when you let off, you said, everyone thinks this is the greatest thing Disney's ever created. I'm one of those people. I think Rise of the Resistance, the first time I went on it, opening weekend at Disneyland, I didn't get to go the first day because you had to get that crazy virtual queue that was stressing everybody out. And we didn't get it the first day, but we got it the second day. And I went on Rise of the Resistance and I got off that ride crying. I was like emotionally, and I'm not a huge Star Wars fan either, but just like the layer upon layer of, can this possibly get any more awesome? And it just continues to get more and more awesome. When you do pull into the room with the giant like AT-ATs and you're like, it feels so unreal that it's happening. And it has held true over the few years that it's been open, where it's still, every time I ride it, I still feel that way. So since it's such an amazing ride, I think that placement on the ride isn't quite as crucial.
Okay. Wow.
Do I get to chime in on this?
Yeah,
one?
I guess so.
Okay. I could not agree with Ashley more.
All right, then.
I don't think it matters where you sit on that attraction. It may have mattered during COVID when they had the glass divider. That's probably it. But
That's true.
Aside from that, I've sat in both the front and the back rows. I think you're getting the same experience all the way around, no matter where you sit.
Yeah, but you can't touch the animatronics. So anyway,
all right.
Well, that's okay. So in our first round, neither of us went with Ashley. Well, what Ashley was thinking of. So that's going to be the interesting.
It's still on the board, whatever it is.
Like if we get through this entire podcast and no one mentions this, I'm not going to promote. Like, you are both fired. I mean, there is a correct number. I'm really surprised no one took this first.
Wow.
Well, if this podcast doesn't continue, Christian, we're going to have to look for a new job, maybe on that other platform she was talking about.
Oh, hey now. Hey. Hey. Hold on. Where's my feet? Anyway. Okay. Anyway. All right. On to round 2.
And now I got to figure out what Ashley's thinking here.
Yeah. This whole time I was like, Rise of the Resistance is going to be it. And then you went wherever you went in the first round. I've already forgotten. Look at the scoreboard under him.
I did Soren. Yeah.
Soren, that's right. But I'm like, man, what is she thinking of?
Round 2 takes me back to my childhood. And by childhood, I mean when I was 9 years old. Yeah, that counts.
And right now, but that's fine.
This is an attraction that opened in 1995. That should probably give it away as I drop things around me. I always thought it was the greatest thing on the planet to make sure that you sat in the driver's seat at Indiana Jones. So I'm taking that at number 2. I think it's it is a false sense of excitement enhancement because the wheel doesn't move, but you're in control of that Jeep when you're sitting in that seat, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm taking that at number 2. And I'm very nervous because I shortened up my explanation because the anticipation is killing me. I want to hear Ashley's thoughts.
I think that's fantastic. I love it's not my number 1. I'll throw that out there. But whenever we're in it with a big group and there is a child like around that perfect age, 6 to 12, you want them in that driver's seat and you want to hype them up like, let's go. Woo, right? It makes the whole experience way more exciting for them. Indy is interesting to me because I feel like where you want to sit on that ride is dependent upon what you want to get out of it. Front row, best view. Okay. Back row, wildest ride. Back row on Indy feels almost like Matterhorn. It jerks. It's jerkier. You're thrown around a lot more. So if you're into being thrown around, sorry, cut. You want to be in the back row. Middle row is just, it's mid. It's like, meh.
Yeah.
So I think front row's great and third row's great.
All right,
funny.
all right, all right. All I will say about this is I feel like this is also a, doesn't really matter where you sit. The experience is fantastic, but yes, heads in your way. I will say there's one spot on this ride that I thought you might be going with when you said it. If you sit in the on the far right second row, that snake is gonna kill you. And
It's
as
awesome.
an adult, I'm still terrified of that snake. So that's where I thought you were going with this. But all right, driver's
No,
seat.
I've always been a huge hype man of the driver's seat, and for those reasons that Ashley was saying, like, you're in control. Let's go. We gotta go. Why are you stalling out when it's pitch black here? Let's
Fair
get
enough.
moving.
Fair enough. All right.
All
Cannot
right,
tell you how happy I am that the snake is moving and the ball is rolling consistently.
isn't it
Yes.
great?
There were just, it's just a completely different kind of a letdown when you ride that ride and the snake was just
Mhm.
hissing but not moving. And
But
now
not
when it
moving.
lurches right at you, oh, it's so good.
My brother used to work on that attraction, and I would just text him and be like, "Can you do your job?" Like, because somehow it's your fault. So,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. All right. Well, Ashley said, I love Indiana Jones. It's a great attraction when it's working, and now it's working, and we love that. Um, the next one I'm going with, Ashley said that if you sit in the back, you get the wildest ride. Well, I want to sit in the back on the wildest ride in the wilderness. Give me Big Thunder Mountain. Ashley's excited. That tells me I hope I got her favorite, but we'll see on that. But if I have to choose a seat in the back, I think I sit right side. But that is where you can get the full effect of that attraction, especially if you decide to try to have a staring contest with a goat. You're going to feel real fantastic at the end of that. But whether it be it doesn't matter what scene, you get more time in the back of that roller coaster than I think any other roller coaster to truly appreciate the scenes of the attraction, especially that re-upped end scene. If everything's operating, it is so cool to take in all of the dynamite and the fog and the
Mhm.
haze or whatever it is. That is such a great attraction to experience from the back row. Erik always says, "Oh, it doesn't matter whether you sit on a roller coaster; it's going to get to the
No,
same."
no, no. I've
Blah,
never
blah, blah,
said
blah,
that.
blah. You've
I've
said
never
something to
said
that
that.
extent.
Nope.
Regardless, I'm taking Big Thunder Mountain, and Ashley seemed pretty excited about it.
I'm so happy. That is the number one most important seat on any ride at the entire Disneyland Resort.
Let's go.
And I will throw hands on this. When you sit in row 15 and then you immediately get right back in line and sit in row 1 or 2 or 3, it feels like an entirely different ride. Row 1 is so slow. I am staring
Mhm.
at the goat for 8 years.
Yeah.
It's mild. It is not the wildest ride. It's the mildest
Hmm.
ride. And
It's
if
the
you
mildest ride.
if you actually want the wildest ride in the wilderness, it is in row 15. And if I can't get row 15, that back car, 13, 14,
Hmm.
15,
Yep.
is gonna be, I mean, Big Thunder Mountain row 15 goat stare is part of my identity. So I'm very passionate about this one. This is the
Oh my
correct
gosh,
answer.
I love that. I think that the bigger problem that I have on Big Thunder Mountain of all attractions, if I sit towards the front, is that train is there, and you
Mhm.
cannot really get a good view of what's coming up versus when you're further in the back. You don't get that same effect on Space Mountain. You don't get that same effect on Incredicoaster. This is a very specific roller coaster. I mean, I guess you can put Casey Jr. in there because the train's in front of you on that too. But there's a different feel to it when you can actually see everything. Erik, what are your thoughts on Big Thunder Mountain?
It was on my list. I have it
Good,
on it right
good,
here.
good,
Yeah.
good.
Hey, if
Not fast enough.
I have integrity. I will admit when I had something and you took it from me. I've always been like that.
Hmm.
I think it's a good pick, and I think that assessment is accurate. I think for that one particularly, you do need to sit in the back, and you're right. Sitting in the front when you have the engine right there in front of you kind of takes away from everything. And as physics will tell you, if you're on a roller coaster and you're going over a drop, if you're sitting in the front, you're going to go halfway down that thing before the backside arches
Hmm.
over the peak.
Hmm.
So naturally, that those back cars are being pulled a little bit harder by gravity than everything else is.
Yeah.
So that's why you get that experience. That makes sense. Um, I guess I have nothing else to say, but that's a good pick. And now I'm going to start my politicking portion of the show.
Uh-oh.
It's a best of 5 draft, right? Poll
It's a best of 5. Yes.
the
You've still
group of
got some
5.
great. Still got some
I've
great
got
strong
so
options out there.
I've
Yes.
got 3 picks to figure out how to come back from this.
Yes, you do. And a reminder for everybody, we do have the rule that we have to pick from Disney California Adventure and from Disneyland. And Eric's done both already. We have to do 2 from each. So I'm kind of pigeonholing myself into Disney California Adventure, but I'm gonna be full honest here. This was my number 1. But for some reason, I thought that Ashley was gonna be like, "Oh, you have to sit in the front row of Star Wars Rise." This is my number 1, so I'm stoked that I was able to get it here in round 2. Erik, to round 3.
Round 3 we go. I don't think I have to go roller coaster here, although there is one roller coaster in which the whole sitting in the back thing does not apply, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm gonna take it yet, though. I might have to hold on to it. Let's see. This one might be a little controversial, but I feel like if you give the guests the control of the attraction, that's kind of cool because there's not very many of those. You can talk about Toy Story and talk about Buzz because those kind of give you control over the attraction where you're actually physically shooting at something, but you're not really moving the vehicle aside from spinning it around. It's still going on a track. But at Smuggler's Run, if you are the right pilot, you get to control all the actions of that thing for the most part, and you get to launch it into light speed. I find it hilarious when I'm in there and you have a little kid who's right pilot and you are just slamming into everything. If you have motion sickness, that may not be the best thing in the world, so don't do that. But I think it's hilarious. And I think anytime you can give the guest as much control over an attraction as possible, you're doing it right. So I'm going to go with right pilot on Smuggler's Run at number 3.
That's a really good pick, and I will, as always, be honest. I completely forgot about Smuggler's Run, so
Most people do.
That's why I haven't thought about it, because it's the worst ride in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Overall, not great, but if you're going to get on there, do whatever you can to be the right pilot.
Yes, indeed. Ashley, what do you think of being the pilot that gets to, I always said, pulling that lever, like when it starts lighting up, you realize that was the moment you were born for, was to do that. So that is, there is something to that. What do you think of Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, specifically right pilot?
I do feel like making the jump to hyperspeed ranks almost right up there with if you're chosen to be the Rebel spy on Star Tours. Like, it's that level of cool. So I'll be honest, Smuggler's Run is not my favorite attraction.
I haven't met anybody it's nobody's favorite.
Well, and for an interesting reason, though. I have a little bit of ride anxiety with the people around me. If it's my family or my friends and we're all 6 in there, then it's fine. And I have no problems. But if it's just me or me and one other person and then strangers, I get so into my head of making sure that these strangers, maybe it's their first time at Disneyland, maybe it's their first time on this ride, and I want them to have the very best experience. And if I'm picked as the pilot, I freak out. I am like, I can't crash anything. I have to be perfect. I have to make this fun for everyone. Like, and I get, my palms are sweating thinking about being the pilot. So I do think it's the best if you want the coolest experience to be the pilot, if you're down for that. Personally, put me in that gunner seat and let me just hold the button down. By the way, plug, you don't have to go click, 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 click to make the gun fire. You just hold it down.
Oh my gosh.
And it continues to fire. So I'm happy with less responsibility on that ride. But it is a great seat.
My favorite time I've ever ridden Smuggler's Run is being a gunner and have nobody sit behind me. They don't do that a whole lot anymore because of efficiency. But if nobody sits behind you as the engineer, you get to do both roles, right? So then there's a little bit more you can do. But steering that thing to me is the best. And by the way, if the people who've never experienced before or you're with strangers, if they're the pilot, I have no problem yelling at people. Not even a little bit.
I absolutely do. I hate
Yep.
confrontation.
I
My favorite
also
part on Smuggler's Run was with two guys from Germany who didn't speak a lot of English, and we put them as the pilots. It was fantastic. It was hilarious.
Awesome.
Screaming in German. Great.
oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Now I hope to have that experience one day now.
I too hate confrontation, but I will yell at a kid in pilot position any day of the week. So
I've done it.
Yep,
You know,
I know you have.
Christian, you and I are very competitive. I've yelled at a child on national television before,
Yeah,
so
yes, you
no
have.
big deal.
Yes, you have.
No big deal.
Oh my gosh, I still
I'll tell
can't
you.
believe that.
Ashley will tell you that story later. But anyway,
I need that.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, all right. My round three. Erik decided to fly around in space and have a little thing, little lever. I am going to be one where you don't control the attraction, but I do think that sitting in the front row on Space Mountain is the best seat on Space Mountain. And so I am very much pigeonholing myself here because I have now put myself into a point where I can only take two more attractions from DCA, and they can't be roller coasters because this is my second roller coaster. But I think that this is that important because there is I always love sitting in the back of roller coasters. I think the feel of wind on your face in Space Mountain, that is why it is probably my favorite attraction. It's come to become my favorite attraction in the park. If you're sitting in the front row, if you have that blast of wind on your face, there is nothing like it. I am my kid every time I go on Space Mountain. It's one of my favorite attractions. And so that's why I'm going bold here. Three Disneyland Resort attractions, two roller coasters in the first three picks. I am hedging my bets here, but Ashley, I'm hoping you like this idea.
Absolutely. No notes. You nailed it. The wind in your face makes that big of a difference. And also I'm all about making memories and taking memories, which means the rides that take your photographs. Anytime, especially if you're with a smaller child, anytime that you can be in the front row and have that front on better photograph and not risk them being behind a tall person and you can't even see them is better. But yeah, front
That's
row,
huge.
Space Mountain all the way. Yeah.
That is a very good point. I was actually thinking about and especially like if you're in the second car and you got the top of the guy's head from the back of the first car, like it's just there's a whole thing here. But Erik, what are your thoughts? I think this is the one you were talking about for the back row not mattering, or maybe it's not. There's another one I'm thinking about that we didn't talk about that I'm realizing we didn't talk about a very specific roller coaster. But anyway, your thoughts?
this is exactly the one I was talking about.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
sitting in the back on Space Mountain is wildly overrated. I've heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, you got to sit in the back." No, you're inside, first of all, and there's no true drop from a lift hill, so you're not losing out on going halfway down,
Yep.
the drop. So you don't have to worry about that. And yes, you need to be in front of everybody. And I'm triggered a little bit because as a tall person, there have been times where I've told, no, you need to sit behind the rest of the family because you're going to block their view.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it hurts a little bit on the inside.
It's better than our buddy Dustin, who's not allowed to go on this ride because he's
Yeah, he doesn't. He's very tall.
Sorry, Dustin. Sorry.
Poor
Anyway,
guy.
I have to mention him every show, and this is
It's a requirement.
the sad part. Anyway,
By the way, because you mentioned that, Dustin lives in Florida. Shout out everybody in Florida.
Yeah.
Please be safe.
Yeah, be safe.
I don't know
Yeah.
when we're going to post this, but
It's
I know
gonna be like 2 weeks later, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, but still, I mean, even so, we're in it right now. Just everybody take care of yourself. Please be good.
Yep.
We're praying for the best.
Yes, sir. All right.
Okay.
After that little PSA,
Round
round 4. Let's go.
Where do I go with this? I've got options. So I've taken 2 from Disneyland, so I still have to take 1 from DCA. Question is, do I do that yet? I've got a couple of DCA options here. Okay, I'm going to go with this one. Sight lines and views, very important for a lot of attractions. Maybe no more important than this one. To be right up against that view of the waterfall when you're starting out on Radiator Springs Racers, I think, and again, as a tall person, having that windshield in front of you that doesn't quite go up high enough or down low enough for somebody of my height that you need to sit in a passenger seat at Radiator Springs Racers to be able to fully enjoy that, in my opinion. I don't know what it's like for people who don't have that bar in front of your face, the edge of the windshield. I'd imagine it's pretty close. And a lot of the action happens to your right at the beginning of that ride, even once you get inside. So I'm going to go with Radiator Springs Racers passenger seat here at number 4.
That's a good spot. That's a really good spot. The there's nothing like it. That moment of the waterfall, there's nothing like it in the Disney parks. Like that is the most, you're on a thrill attraction, and then you are just in the most peaceful, tranquil little spot, and then you almost get hit by a truck. And so then then it gets chaotic. But you're right, a lot of the things happen to the right of that vehicle. Mater's on the right of that vehicle. Frank is on the right of that vehicle, which is always, the jump scare kind of sort of that. But and then you go into the rest of the attraction. But I love that spot. So that's a good one. Ashley, what do you think of this spot on Radiator Springs Racers?
I'll be honest, I have never even considered this before. But you're absolutely right. When you round the corner and that waterfall and the music swells, yeah, they knew what they were doing when they chose that moment of music to match that visually. And then my favorite part of Radiator Springs Racers, other than the racing at the end, of course, is a tractor tipping. Tractor tipping. They all and if you're right on the passenger side, you're the closest to that happening right there next to you. Yeah, I like it. I think but this is new to me. I've never really thought about it before. I was of the opinion maybe Radiator Springs Racers doesn't really matter, the 6 seats, other than if you're tiny and can't be seen. But I like it. Yeah.
And it goes with all of these folks. No matter where you sit, you're going to enjoy the attraction. That's the art of this, though, is when you get to go multiple times, then you get to start nitpicking and getting to where you want to be. So if you're a first-time rider, don't worry about it. Get on Radiator Springs Racers. Yes. I would suggest the front row no matter what, though. If you can, ask for the front row. There's just, and it doesn't have to be the front row, the whole train at the load. Just the front row of the cars, it's a great spot. Although I will say, any car that goes to Luigi's instead of Ramon's has a better drive on that attraction, because you get to go get your tires done. I think that's my favorite part of that attraction.
Yeah, I love the tires.
I hate
infinitely more.
I absolutely hate going to Ramon's because it's just mist, and I'm just like, okay, that was fun, and these guys got to do the whole anyway. The new white wall tires, and in fact, as we speak in round 4, as we speak of tires, I'm going a short way down the road, and I'm going to my favorite little tire shop on Route 66. I am going to Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters, and everybody's going, hey, wait a second. Why would the seat matter here? Well, it's not necessarily the seat, but it is the car. And I have no way of accurately describing where you need to sit. There are 2 locations on the dance floor, that they call it, that will then get you in the middle of the dance when it comes to the end of the attraction. And that is one of my favorite things, is being the center of attention on an attraction. So all the other cars are going around you. Meanwhile, you're doing the waltz or the samba or whatever dance that I don't know the answer, or don't know what it is. Even though I worked the attraction, I should certainly know that. All I can tell you is it's going to be along the back row. There's one on each side, and if you get lucky enough to be in one of those cars, it's the exact same starting point every single time. It does not change. If a car starts there, it is going to do that big motion. I wish I had a map. Maybe I'll add a map in editing here and show you, but this is one of my favorite little things that gets so overlooked. But honestly, folks, I got to be in California Adventure for the next 2 picks, so I got to make something up. And this is actually, literally, it's one of the things we try to do. If I'm there with my son and my wife, I try to get us into that car so that we can then be the center of that dance. I think it's the best thing in the world. Ashley either didn't know that this existed or thinks it's kind of lame, I think. But Ashley, what do you think?
Yes, I did not know that it existed. No, it is absolutely not lame. I also adore being the center of attention. I don't know if you guys get that vibe from me. But now I just wrote myself a little note to add this to my to-do list. I am dead set on figuring out how to find those cars.
Honestly, I will give you the map. I know exactly where they are. There's just no way of describing it in word form. Like,
You think it's
but
back row, kind of at the ends, almost?
yeah, I'll give it. Maybe do I throw it up? Maybe I'll throw it up on the thing so that everybody can see it. If you didn't see it, folks, it's because I decided that maybe one day I want to work for Disney again in my life. But if I do put it up, it's because I don't care. But Ashley, I will definitely make sure you know by the end of this. But Erik, what do you think? I know you have Italian ties, so you do have at least a little bit of a heart for this attraction.
Well, this is where you're gonna fall out of your chair, pal.
You've never been on it.
Nope, not one time
You're an idiot.
have I
hate you.
ever been on
I
that
hate
attraction.
you.
That's why I was like, I thought you knew that and you could have held that for the last pick.
No, I did
Yeah.
not. Regard
I have not gone on that attraction since it was Flying Tires.
it's such a better attraction than Flying Tires was. And honestly, folks, you're going to see it from the road and think it's a kid's ride. That ride whips you around, kind of like Mater's does. Those rides are not kiddie rides. There's a reason there's a height restriction on it.
Mhm.
It is a rough and whipping around ride. I love it. But Erik, that kind of makes me angry that you, the Italian, I'm Italian, have not been on that ride. We got to fix that, buddy.
Or I barely know how to cook. You think I am like the walking non-stereotype of Italians.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I'm glad Ashley has something to do now because I mean, not only do we rate things here, but we also teach people cool new things that they could do. And
Can you
now
put the more you know thing
Mhm.
flying by when you say, yeah.
Now, next time I go to Disneyland, I'm going to have to spend a solid, 8 hours riding Luigi's over and
Oh
over
yes,
again,
yes.
documenting.
And
Yeah.
for
You
the
got to figure it out.
for those of you that don't know, all of the cars will go to the perimeter of the attraction and kind of just dance, like little zigzag in a circle. But there are two cars in the middle. They're doing this kind of sort of choreographed dance. It's one of my favorite things. So go do it. Ashley's going to do it the next time she goes to Disneyland, which apparently is going to cut pretty soon because all of Utah's taking over Disneyland in a couple weeks. Buckle up, everybody. Oh my goodness. All right, Erik. We've reached the final round.
And I can take whatever I want from whichever park I want.
Wow, that's true.
Yeah, that strategery.
Strategery.
Oh. But with that comes a plethora of selections that can be made. Although that was probably going to happen anyway, because there are a lot of good seats in specific rides. The question is, how do I want to approach ride quality, the quality of attraction, right? I picked Smuggler's Run. It's not everybody's favorite, but that seat is, to me, very, very important. So do I do it like that, or do I do it for literal, thrill reasons for an attraction that is beloved by everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go classic Disneyland attraction.
It better be what I think you're thinking of.
Ugh, I don't know if it is. This is so hard. This is harder for me than the parades episode at this point. I'm going to go with sitting in the caboose of the Casey Jr. Circus train.
Ooh, not what I thought you were going to do, but I love this.
Facing backward.
I hate it. I hate it already. Nope.
Two seats in the back.
Awful.
Yep.
What? Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Have you never done it?
I know. I get sick whenever I hate riding on the monorail backwards, Erik.
Oh, I did not know that about you.
I hate it.
Well, thank goodness you're not judging this. But anyway, it is a completely different feel. You get all the experience that everyone else does, except you get to see everything going away from you, which means you get to see it a little bit longer. So that's kind of cool. And I don't know. There's a different sensation about going up that lift hill backwards, essentially, that is not something you can experience on any other attraction in either theme park. So I'm gonna take Casey Jr. at number 5.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I like that actually. I hate sitting backwards, so that honestly I hate it. But Ashley, what do you think of taking in a nice, I was going to say calmer ride, but there's parts where that ride is not awesome, especially if you're sitting backwards and you don't know where you're going. But what do you think of the caboose sitting backwards on Casey Jr.?
I think this was a little bit of a risk to go with, and I think it paid off for you.
Oh, thank God.
I feel like Casey Jr. Caboose is a very underrated gem. that people don't really think about. I think Casey Jr. as a whole, as an attraction, is overlooked. I will say this. I feel like the caboose is great, especially if you have, 3 or 4 people in your family and you can take up the whole caboose and have 2 facing forward and 2 facing backwards. Just, I don't know, there's something that's really bonding about being at the end together. I will say this, caboose is my favorite. If there's a spot to absolutely avoid, it is the car that is right behind the engine. Not just because of the view obstruction, but the fumes in the face. It's hard to breathe through that ride because it's just right. I mean, it's really bad being in that first car. So, but I've done it all. I've done monkey cages, all of it. But the caboose is just, it's extra special.
I hate the monkey cages.
They're a little tough for me too. But again, tall, tough to be in close spaces like that. But as somebody who's actually driven the Casey Jr. train multiple times, I definitely attest to the whole fumes thing, because it's not terribly fun for the driver either, to be honest with you. Not to mention, again, I'm tall. The first time I ever sat in the driver's seat when I was getting ready to operate the attraction, I got a cramp in both of my hips simultaneously. It was the most painful thing in my life to this point.
That's not good, Eric. You shouldn't do that. All right.
Never again. Never again.
All right. On to my round 5, and then Ashley gets the fun job of judging this whole thing. I've got a couple on my list. I wish I could go back to Disneyland because I would love to take the front row of Great Mamas with Mr. Lincoln, but I can't. Bummer. Sorry. So although, and now that you haven't taken it, Eric, Matterhorn not on this list. I forgot about the Matterhorn when we were rattling off roller coasters, but that could be a good spot. But so I'm between 2 attractions because I can only go to Disney California Adventure, and I'm between 2 different attractions. One of them is a kids ride, one of them is absolutely not a kids ride. And so 40-inch height requirement. But so I'm gonna go with the big attraction. I'm going to go on Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And the reason I did not think this would be necessary back in the day, especially when I was working in the attraction, I didn't think it was a big deal until I started getting complaints. And so then I started paying attention to where I was sitting. And you cannot truly hear all of the amazing audio on that attraction if you're sitting in the back of the system. So I'm going to tell you to sit in the front and the gantry lift, and I'm going to tell you to sit in the front row. Gosh, what seat is it? If you're looking at the guy who's like, "Oh, have a good day," and he clicks the button and it closes, you want to be as close to that guy as possible. You want to be the special guy that they have to say, "Hey, watch your feet from the door." That's a cool thing. You're the only one in the entire thing that they actually care about your safety at that moment. But I do think there is something to being in the front row on Guardians. You get to hear the not really the audio when you're going up and down of Rocket, but those show scenes, the audio is a lot better if you're sitting in the front, because you don't have at least 2 screaming people in front of you. But bad news is you have people screaming behind you. I don't know where you weigh that. But Ashley, I'm going to the front row of Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout here.
I do love the front row of Guardians of the Galaxy. Because back to the whole, I want to keep the memories. The photos on Guardians of the Galaxy are among my favorite ride photos because it's not just, 2 of you on Incredicoaster or 6 of you on Space Mountain. It's a group of however many, 21 maybe?
Yeah,
21.
The entire elevator is in that photo.
Yep.
And it's fantastic to see people's expressions. You can tell the ones who have never done it before, didn't know what it was about. The little kids who love it, the little kids who hate it, all across the board. So I love that photo. And the only way you can guarantee having a good photo is to be on that front row. If you're on the second or the third, you're going to have people face, hands in your face. And
there's nothing worse than a hand blocking somebody's face, especially if it's your first time. Oh, terrible, right? I'm not even kidding you. There is a picture, and we've talked about it on this show, but Ashley doesn't know this. There is a picture of me going on, at the time, Tower of Terror. I hated the attraction until they made me work it, and then I rode it 27 times in a day, and I thought I was going to die. But there's a photo of me and my cousin on that attraction, and there's a guy in a Captain America sweatshirt next to me. Why would you remember that? Because I'm grabbing his leg because I'm so terrible. This is a stranger, and I am It's that website we were talking about earlier. You know, there's content out there on the internet for this kind of stuff. I was terrified. Regardless, that is the end of our draft, Erik. But actually, before we get to it, Erik, do you have any thoughts on the front row of Guardians, or you'd be like, I haven't been on Guardians of the Galaxy? Oh wait,
Okay,
you have. You have. We already talked about this last episode, but still.
First of all, now I know why you wore that shirt, because you have some PTSD. Second of all,
I wasn't even thinking about it.
yeah. Second of all, I had this on my list. If it came down to it, I think you're correct. I actually had row 1 and or row 6 closest to the center.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how I had it written down. So I wrote it down for you as front row center.
There we go.
Yeah, you're right. The only other place that you wouldn't get an obstructed picture is actually in the back row, right in the middle, right? Because the people who line up right with the aisle, they're the only ones who are immune from a hand in the face. Maybe, unless somebody's like this off to the side.
Yeah, it's very possible.
But you're right. For audio purposes and all that, and again, no obstructions, nothing in front of you. You want to sit in the front of that ride. Yeah, no, I agree. Good pick.
It's such a good ride. I love it so much.
We remember when we were like, why are you doing this?
Yep.
And then when it got done, we were like, yeah, this is better than
this is so much better. This is so much better. Oh boy. Well, all right, Erik, that is our draft, and now it comes to the fun part. And Ashley looks to actually have a hard decision on her hands, unlike some of these drafts where somebody's like, well, you already know who's going to win. I don't know where she's going to go here. But Ashley, before we get to that, are there any things we left off this list that should be there? I have a sense the answer is yes.
So I have a thought. This is something that is highly debated often in my circles that I run in. We talked about roller coasters kind of generally, but we didn't specifically address Incredicoaster. And I feel like there could be arguments made for both the front and the back. So I wanted to kind of hear your thoughts on that.
So here's my thoughts, is that I pigeonhole myself by taking 2 roller coasters in Disneyland. So really it's Erik's fault that it didn't get picked. So Erik, it's on you. No, I honestly thought about it, but I thought the classic Disneyland seats or Disneyland roller coasters, that those are the experiences you really need to have. Incredicoaster, honestly, I can have a great time on Incredicoaster wherever I sit. Yes, I do think you do have the wind and nobody in your face. If you're sitting in the front is awesome. Sitting in the back is awesome because you do have a little bit longer of a drop to go through than just hanging there. But Erik, I'll let you're the one who didn't take 2 roller coasters. So Erik, this is your fault.
Ashley, the reason I didn't go Incredicoaster is exactly for the reasons you just stated. I feel like the front and the back have their own arguments, which kind of cancels each other out. So I didn't want to go with one or the other. I also feel like on Incredicoaster, when you're sitting in the back and you go, halfway down, or I'm sorry, you're sitting in the front and you go halfway down the drop on Incredicoaster is not the draw for me on that. It's the loop, and it's actually going up the lift hill, which is rare. I think going up the lift hill is more of a thrill than actually going down the drop on that attraction. I don't know if it's just me. It's the views of all of Orange County from up there or what it is. But especially going down a drop that's already in a tunnel is, I don't know, for me it kind of takes away from it a little bit, I guess. But from a seat perspective, I think you're right. I think the front and the back have their own arguments, and deciding between the two, I think, is unfair. So that's one of the reasons why I left it out.
I like it. I'm in the same boat as you. I just wanted to make sure that you guys weren't strictly team front or team back on that one.
No. I will say I hate. If I had to choose, I would be team back because I hate the hanging and just waiting for the rest of the train to catch up. I hate that. Or to come over that hill. But at the same time, I love the launch. So maybe I'm not just a strictly. All right, you've made me question my living. Here we are. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. So is there anything else that we left off? Is there any other really good attraction seat that you think we should have been on, but we didn't?
So Erik has mentioned a couple of times, the woes of being tall. And So my husband is a big, big dude. I mean, not necessarily tall, but just big. He's a big guy. And so we do a lot of kind of experimenting with what he can and can't ride, what he enjoys riding, the things that he avoids completely. That's why we love Disney as much as we do, because he rides almost everything at the Disneyland Resort. Whereas if we were to go to some other nearby theme parks, it's very restricting on what he can do.
You can
But
say Universal. It's fine. I know exactly
I don't
where
know
you're
what the
going.
rules are. I don't want to break the rules. I'm a rule follower.
You're fine because you're absolutely right. Is that that other theme park over there in Hollywood? They build some of the most immersive attractions you've ever seen, and they forget about who's actually riding these things.
Yeah. But as a bigger or taller person, specifically, there are rides that are hard to get in and out of and hard to just kind of be in that space if there's not enough space for your body. So Matterhorn is one that comes up a lot. And cast members have told me this, and I just want to confirm if there's any truth to this. They've said that on Matterhorn, the front seat and the fourth seat have a little bit more leg room, a little bit more space to be in. Would you concur?
Yeah, it's not huge amount, but it is just a smidge, right, Erik?
Yes. Again, as somebody who has operated the Matterhorn, yes, that is true, and Christian is correct also. There is technically more room. It is not a lot. I can't. My knees are up above the edge of the bobsled every time I'm on it, no matter if I'm in that first or fourth seat. But yes, the information you have is correct. There is a little bit more room in seats 1 and 4.
When am I going to have this opportunity to have two, knowledgeable behind the scenes? I need to
Hey,
capitalize.
whenever you're here, you give us a call. We'll be there.
Deal. Hey,
We've
yeah,
never
you guys are great.
we've never roamed the parks with one of our guest judges before. We gotta do that one of these days.
Let's go ride
So,
Luigi's 8 times in a
hey,
row.
let's go. Let's go. Boy, I'm gonna get sick. Anyway, and yes, folks, I would get sick because that attraction can get a little spinny. And anyway. All right, Ashley. Well, if there's no other things we missed, I mean, I'm sure there are. There's plenty of. We'll talk about my honorable mentions after this. But Erik, let's do it. Run down the lists. Let's remind everybody at home, even though it's on their screens, but if they're listening, they don't have a screen, and hopefully you're not driving and watching this at the same time. Run down the lists, Erik, and tell us who chose what in this draft before time comes down to Ashley's big decision.
That was a loaded disclaimer you just gave there, pal.
All
right.
right. Just don't watch things and drive. Anyway.
All right. I had the first pick in this one, and I took B1 on Soarin' at number 1, the driver's seat on Indy at number 2, Right Pilot on Smuggler's Run at 3, Radiator Springs Racer's passenger seat at 4, wrapped it up with the Caboose on Casey Jr. Circus Train. It's fitting I took that last. That makes sense. Yeah, you see what I did there? All right.
Stupid.
Christian went with the front row of Rise of the Resistance with his first pick. Row 15 of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at number 2. The front row Space Mountain on number 3. Number 4, Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. I put here specific car in field. I don't know how else to put it.
True, it's true.
Yeah. And then you went front row center on Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And now that we know our picks, we turn it over to Ashley, who won this episode of Drafting the Magic.
I don't want to. This is really close. It's really. I was trying to do this scientifically. I was assigning point values to things.
Wow.
I can't.
Wow.
I gotta kind of just. I gotta go with my heart and my gut. And Erik had amazing picks. Soarin' B1, I will forever preach about. The pilot on Smuggler's Run, where it's
really good. I didn't think about that.
Fantastic. I never even have taken the time to stop and consider where to sit on Radiator Springs Racers. Sorry, I'm not looking up. I'm looking at I took notes.
I'm reading off my phone too. I
don't take my responsibility lightly here. Some really, really great choices. Christian came in really strong with Big Thunder Mountain 15, which I had been on my edge of my seat waiting for, and was honestly shocked that wasn't top pick for either of you, because it's always going to be my top.
What are we, nuts?
I know. Well, you live and you learn, right? The more you know. Get that ready. Space Mountain front is just wind in the face amazing. Oh man, this is so rough. Okay, so have to pick a winner, have to pick a winner. I gotta go with Christian.
Hey, let's go.
Uh, because it really did come down to neck and neck. The thing that pushed him over was Big Thunder Mountain Road 15. It is that important. So
I'm okay with it being a tiebreaker. I just was I'm more okay with that than it being the decision. You know what I mean? If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Oh, I know.
I can live.
I mean,
I
this
can
is
live with that.
really close. And things like Casey Jr. Caboose and the Luigi Center car, the creativity that went into those choices, I mean, I'm excited to go to Disneyland and be, riding the caboose and finding Luigi Center car. This is going to be great.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we will have to show you all of we'll have to tell you exactly where to go on these attractions. Well, Ashley, before you go, thank you so much for joining us. You've been a fantastic guest judge. Remind everybody where they can find you before you head out.
So I'm on Facebook. If you're in Facebook, if you're a Facebooker, you go to groups and you just type in Disneyland planning tips and tricks. A really cute little castle icon will pop up and it's me, and it'll say, with Ashley Dixon. It'll have my name on there, so it's mine. Would love to have you in that group. And on Instagram, it's Ashley Dixon Shenanigans. Or if you already are a big fan of me based on this one podcast experience, go find me on Patreon and support me there and become part of the Shenana fam.
The Shenana fam. I love it so
On my
much.
way.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ashley. You have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Ashley. We'll talk to you soon. Well, there you go, my friend. Another dub for you.
Yes.
Good job.
I got another one.
Good job.
This was such a great idea by Ashley, by the way.
Yeah.
Literally all credit to her. This was her conjuring up her idea, like I said, and this is something that people think about when you've gone to Disney multiple times. You now want to get different perspectives of your favorite Disney attractions, whether it's Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Incredicoaster, like Ashley was talking about. There's good perspectives on both ends. You get the wind in your face at the front, you get the really long, quick drop at the back. Like there's so many different perspectives to Disney attractions. That's why when she suggested this, what a great concept.
Yeah, and I mean, how many times have you seen it? I've seen it at the parks too. You're waiting in the queue for Indiana Jones, and there's a little kid who I want to sit at the steering wheel, or when they finally hit the height requirement on Autopia, I want to be the driver. Like there are attractions where it is obvious that you want to sit in certain places, and then when you look at roller coasters, flume rides, whatever, you might want to see things from different angles, right? I mean, sometimes you get tired of looking over your pal when you're sitting. Hey, maybe I want to sit in the left seat this time. Like there are, like you said, there's different perspectives. And it's just a matter of which ones we think are the best ones. So, if you go and you realize you're sitting in the same place over and over again, then try to position yourself to where you don't do that. Maybe try to see something from a different angle. Yeah, exactly. One that I didn't even talk about is Star Tours. I don't think I brought that one up, but on Star Tours, if you want to really experience Star Tours, you want to sit in the front or the back because you're on a motion simulator. If you sit in the middle, there's less movement, right? It's just science. So there's a lot of little things like that too that you may not necessarily think of that do play into your experience.
I was so excited. I know you didn't work the new version, but I was so excited for you to tell us how to get to be the Rebel spy, even though I know there's not a specific thing for that. But I was like so excited for that. But nope, you're just telling us to sit in the front or the back because of excitement. Regardless, I keep saying regardless on the show. I really don't use that word in my daily life. But anyway,
everybody's got a filler.
Yep. It's my filler world. It used to be like additionally or something. Anyway, not important. Not important for this. But it doesn't matter what attraction is. I mean, Haunted Mansion, you're
you're locked
stuck,
in,
right? Like it doesn't matter.
There's not much you're gonna do there.
Buggy you get. Even the carousel. I mean, I would much rather be on the outside of the carousel than the inside of the carousel. But unless you really want to get, the Julie Andrews or Walt Disney Porsche or whatever they're called, like
Jingles,
yeah. Like those things specifically, I guess. But like a lot of those dark rides, it really does not matter where you sit. I mean, I guess on Mr. Toad's, you could be the driver versus not.
It was funny when I was a kid and going on Mr. Toad. I always wanted the car that said Toad. I wanted to drive too, but I wanted the car that said Toad, and I think that's another cool thing that Disney has is right. Not all the ride vehicles look exactly the same, except for Mansion and mermaid and things like that. But
Yeah.
other than that, there's a lot of attractions where like I'm going to go on it again because I want to try to get this particular one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do not ask for that at Toad though, please. It's
Nope.
a very complicated system.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I think we should do
Just the
this
luck of the draw.
episode. I think we should do this episode in Florida. And maybe we can have Ashley back to do that. I don't remember if she said she'd been to Disney World or not, but we do this in Florida, and then we can choose whether we want to be in the front or the back of Aladdin's magic carpets to decide which miserable seat you want less. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we have
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
We have Astro Orbiter, right? I mean, it's something kind of similar.
True. Yeah.
Astro Orbiter, I can't even do at all just because
spinning.
I don't fit in it. No, the spinning's
Oh.
fine because it doesn't go that fast.
Hmm.
But it's almost like Dumbo. It's like, yeah, you're just kind of going up and down. But I never go higher or lower than the median because the vehicle tips.
Yep.
Right? So I'm just like leaning into the side if I go too high or too low. So I end up just staying level the whole time.
I'll get on the Astro Orbiter in Florida. I have such a great time on the one in Florida because you're up high and
you're up. Yeah.
That's where it used to be at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
I have no interest on our Astro Orbiter at Disneyland. I just have no interest in it at all. I think it's an ugly piece to put at the front of the Tomorrowland area. I think it's one of the many roots of Disney World or Disneyland's problem too. Ugh.
Quick prediction: yes or no? Does it ever get moved back to where it was?
Not. I mean, I think they would have to knock down the building and start over. I think with regulations the way they are now, there's no way that building's still in any way, shape, or form able to support that. It would be cool if when they redo Tomorrowland, they go back to but made it great.
Christian, yes or no? Does it go back to where it was?
I'm gonna say no. Gonna say no. I don't think.
Okay.
I would love for it to happen. I'm gonna say no.
I'm on team yes.
I'm by all means. I hope it happens.
I think it will under the circumstances you just presented. The whole thing has to be redone, but I think it does eventually happen.
I hope it happens. I'm not saying I don't think I want it to. I just don't think they'll do it. I think I'm also of the belief, and the rope drop park hop gals will love this because specifically Aaron hates spinners, right?
Yeah.
I think you've got Dumbo. I don't think you need another spinner in the park. It's such a, I don't know. It's
they won't add another one. They'll just move the current one. But you're
I think
right.
you could get rid of it though. That's what I guess I'm saying. It's like,
okay.
You can get rid of it in your big Tomorrowland scheme. If we're really shooting for a Tomorrowland that is future Tomorrowland, I think you might say goodbye to Astro Orbiter. We have ventured way off of our favorite seats. But so there's our hot takes on Astro Orbiter. Erik thinks it's going to go up, and I think it should be in the back of a disposal already. Disposal?
Oh, I didn't say I think it should stay. I was just giving a prediction.
Fair enough. Well, Erik, that is our episode. What a great episode of Drafting the Magic.
Yeah, that was a really good topic. I like that one.
Fantastic episode. Every episode is fantastic. Why aren't you subscribed yet? Why aren't you liking us on Instagram yet? Get the job done. You know what to do. Find us in all the spots. Until next time, let's get rid of Astro Orbiter. Anyway, until next time.